There's all this chatter about Google Eat. What the heck? Is Google hungry? What in the world is going on? What are people talking about? Well, guys, welcome to Traffic Keys. I'm your host, Atiba, and today that's our topic. We're going to dive a little bit further into Google Eat. No, Google's not hungry. It's an acronym. And if you're a business owner looking to drive more eyeballs and more traffic to your website, then you're in the right place because I've been doing this for over 15 years. And if you're here in the group, I'm here to teach you for free. So let's dive right in. A couple of weeks ago, we started talking about this acronym, EAT, EAT, Google Eat, and it stands for expertise. Sorry, my phone's going. Every time I say Google, my Android phone goes off and tries to, it thinks I'm talking to it. Anyway, expertise, authority, and trust. All right. And we're going to dive into expertise today. But before we do, let me just kind of paint the picture of what's going on here. So Google has this big manual. And in this manual, they talk all about what it means to have a good web page and to rank well in search. It's a ridiculously thick manual. If you really want something to put you to sleep at night, it's a great thing to go download and read because it's super boring. It's got tons of technical information in it. And this is one, I think, on page like 168. Okay. One of the things they talk about right around page 168. And they get into this conversation about EAT. All right. It's hot in here. I don't know why I'm wearing a jacket and take this thing off. So expertise, authority, and trust. And what they say is it's not a direct ranking factor. It isn't. They don't actually score you and rank you based on it. So then why do we care? Is the question that you should ask, and it's the question that you should want to know the answer to. Why are we talking about this? Because it's an indirect ranking factor that matters an awful lot. It may as well be direct. It's so freaking important. Okay. And especially in the expertise area, depending on what sector your product or service falls in. Okay, and I'll explain that in just a moment. And as always, if you're in podcast land, do me a favor. And if you got a question, send me an email, right? hello@traffickeys.com. If you're here live with me, drop a hashtag live. Let me know that you're here. Drop some hearts. Let me know that you're here. And if you're here on a replay, hit me with a hashtag replay. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Would love to answer them. Okay, so as we jump into expertise, what Google is looking for is what is the overall expertise of the person, listen to that word carefully, person that is creating the content on this web page. So expertise has nothing to do with your overall website expertise. It has nothing to do with the principles of your business's expertise. It only has to do with the expertise of the person who is writing the content on that page, the actual author. Okay? Right? The actual author. That's what they're looking for. So right there, you should have one takeaway right now. If you have a blog, okay, on your website, which you should, if you're producing content, which you should on your website, and you aren't identifying who the author is, and you don't have an author bio, especially if it's your own and you're the author, if you're just saying it's by the site, which I did for a long time, I'm not even gonna lie to you. So I mean, we all make these mistakes, okay? If you've got to have your author name and a bio page that actually talks about what your expertise is in that field. So that's your number one takeaway here, all right? So Google wants to know, what is the expertise of the person who wrote this content? Not the overall site, that particular page, okay? Now, where does it matter the most? Does it matter my expert, or rather, even how do I prove my expertise? Let's say you are a restaurant reviewer. Okay, you go out and you're one of the Yelp exclusive people or whatever they're called. I forget what Yelp's actual term is, but people who go out and just rate restaurants. You eat everywhere, you eat out every meal, and you rate every single restaurant, and Yelp loves you for it. Let's say you're one of those people. Does your expertise matter? Like, who cares where you went to school? Who cares what degrees you have? Right? It doesn't matter in every single field. Okay, and so Google actually has two different categories for where it matters. So the first one, and the most important one, if you fall in this, that you have to understand, is what they call. I'm going to throw another crazy acronym at you: YMYL. YMYL. Okay. And that stands for your money, your life. And they have categorized a whole bunch of sectors and businesses that are your money, your life. So let me give you a kind of a high level snippet of some of those: news, law or civil society, things going on. Okay. Finance, anything to do with money, right? So how to improve credit, your credit score, that falls under YMYL, just like a bank would, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so if you're helping people repair their credit, you're in a YMYL industry, and Google is going to want to know, what is your expertise? Who certified you? Where did you go to school? What courses did you take that says you actually know what you're talking about, and you're not just somebody who read a couple blog posts and then started writing stuff? Okay. So that's finance, health, which is huge. This is everything from hardcore medical, like, doctor, dentist, that type of thing, all the way through some alternative medicine practices as well. Everything in there that affects your health when you're giving advice about health, information about health, you fall under YMYL, and Google is going to scrutinize your expertise. They want to know, they want you to prove that you actually know what you're talking about, that you're actually credentialed, okay, for what you're talking about. Otherwise, they just won't rank you, right? Because they won't, to the T, trust you. They won't trust your expertise. The T is also in the EAT, right? EAT, the trust. Okay. All right. And then there are several other categories. So if you're talking about race or ethnic issues or religious issues, sexual orientation and gender, all that stuff, guys, falls under YMYL, and Google's going to want you to prove that you are actually an authority, not someone who's spewing hate, not someone who's spewing just your own personal opinions that don't reflect anything, that didn't just come, that aren't based in anything. Okay. That's what expertise is all about. That's what Google is looking for in that EAT acronym for expertise, for the YMYL. Now, that's the first category. I told you there were two. That's the first one. Okay. The second one is a little bit more nebulous, and this is the everyday expertise. So let's go back to that restaurant blogger or that restaurant reviewer. They fall under the everyday expertise. You didn't have to go to school to prove that you can review restaurants. Like, you don't have to have a culinary degree to do that. So there are a lot of different things that will fall in the everyday expertise category, where if you've talked about this enough, if enough other people have talked about you, talking about this enough, you can also prove your expertise. Now, is there a cut and dry way? Is there a clear cut way to figure out how to prove your everyday expertise? There isn't. It sucks. It really does suck. And it also bleeds, because listen to this. Check this out. A query like, how does it feel like to have cancer? And if you wrote a blog post on how it felt to have cancer, and you had cancer, guess what? You have everyday expertise, but cancer is health. Wouldn't that be YMYL? No, it's not, because you're not actually giving medical advice. And so that's where the gray areas start to come in. But if you hearken to my first lesson, and the one really big lesson in this all is when you're creating your blog post, make sure that you identify who the author is if it's not yourself. And that identification links to an author bio page that clearly speaks to this author's expertise. Okay. If you've been written about in publications, if you've been featured on other websites, other blogs, other podcasts, if you've been in the news, if you have degrees, if you started companies or had a big title at a company in this field. So hear me on that. Okay. If you decided to go into alternate, I don't even know if this is a real thing, alternate foot medicine, and your previous career and your degree was in accounting, does not help you. Okay. So on your author bio page, you want to list things that show your authority, okay, and your expertise on the topic that you're talking about. That is the key. That is the way. That's one of the best ways to build your expertise. The other way to build your expertise is to have social signals that say that you are an expert. Okay. Your LinkedIn profile. So all the stuff that was on your author bio, put it on your LinkedIn profile. Okay. Put it on your Facebook. You can't put all of that on your Instagram if you're using Instagram, but you can put some of it on your Instagram as well. All of those things start to corroborate that you are an expert, right? They start to corroborate for Google that you are an expert in this field. And that, my friends, is the goal. So we've talked about expertise. That's the E in the EAT acronym. And then I threw on top this other acronym of Your Money, Your Life, YMYL. If you don't know if you're a Your Money, Your Life industry or not, just Google it. Like, seriously, put in your industry and just say, is whatever my industry is, YMYL, and see the results. They'll come back and it will let you know. If you are, then you know you've got to prove your expertise, prove who trained you, where you went to school, how long you've been doing it, people that you've helped that will vouch for you, especially, man, if you got somebody famous that will vouch for you in your expertise, then use it. Stop being shy about it and use it. If it comes back that you're not in a YMYL industry and you can use everyday expertise, then the thing that you have to do still is create that author bio and talk about why you have expertise. Talk about your history with this overarching topic that you're talking about, okay? And then create more content and add it all to your LinkedIn, your Facebook, every way that you can, so it all corroborates and you're talking about this one topic. Okay, guys, so that was a lot, I know. So if you've got questions, if you're not sure if your industry is YMYL, if you do the search and you can't find the answer, drop me a comment here, send me an email, hello@traffickeys.com. I love to get your emails, love to respond back and forth with you guys and help you guys out. Want to hear from you. And if you are in a YMYL industry, then create that author bio page on your website like tomorrow. I don't care if it ain't pretty. It doesn't have to be pretty right now. It just needs to have the information. Okay, create that and then go update your LinkedIn and update your Facebook right away. All right, everybody. Well, it's been a pleasure as always. I will see you guys real soon. I may miss you guys tomorrow. I'll be on the road tomorrow. We're traveling a lot this weekend. It's 4th of July here in the United States. And we're traveling all around, actually, because it's open back up and we can, and we've got stuff to do. So if I don't catch you tomorrow, I probably will see you on Sunday or Monday. See you soon. Bye, guys.